You're right, guys. I wanted to have a quick, frank talk about NoFap because, some people might look at someone like me and say, why are you even making videos on this stuff? That's weird. But it's an important topic that affects so many guys. It might not be talked about, but people and porn have a relationship. It's a multi-billion-pound industry or multi-billion-dollar industry if you don't know what English money is. This really does tie in with our mental health and well-being quite prominently. I was just Googling actually. Quartz estimates the porn industry to be worth between $6 and $97 billion. That's a large margin of error there. Don't know why, but 697, it's still either way a big thing in our lives, obviously. And I'm not making a moral judgment. I'm just saying it might be a little bit weird for us to just exist as a society and never ever talk about its potential impact on mental health or well-being. Is that not more weird than making NoFap vids? And so I wanted to talk about it and give you a little bit of honesty from where I'm coming from and my perspective, because if you don't know, I'm a coach and I help people with a few different types of problems. But one of my biggest videos is a NoFap video and it's got 250,000 views, and then other ones have taken off on my channel. So a lot of people that come to me obviously came through the whole NoFap thing, and so I've seen things. I've either enrolled clients or had consultations with quite a few different people who are talking about what they're personally struggling with. Either they want to maintain a streak, they want to be abstinent from porn, they feel like they've got an addiction, they feel like it's changed their preferences. There's kind of a range of stuff and a range of beliefs and where people want to get to with it. And I don't want you to take this video as me saying I want you to believe any particular thing about NoFap. That's not my role as a coach. My role is just to inform you of things as how I see them. And so, a few of you might think what I'm about to say is a bit controversial. I'm saying, fapping's fine. I'm not saying that necessarily, but what I am saying is that this is what I've seen. And I know there's a lot of people on my channel that want to be 100% abstinent from any PMO. They want to be abstinent, and I'm not saying that is a bad choice. If that suits you, and you can do the sexual transmutation, and you're making sure your prostate's healthy, and you're exercising, and you're really, dedicated in that way, it can be a super, super powerful tool. I'm not saying it's not. I'll give you two hypothetical situations to illustrate what I'm on about. So imagine on one end of the spectrum, you got someone who only gets off to their imagination, and they only imagine regular sex acts with regular girls. Well, that is a very different situation to someone disappearing down a complete novelty rabbit hole. And what I mean by a novelty rabbit hole is a lot of guys get this problem where, because you can be so specific about what you want with internet pornography, and it's only getting better and better in terms of it allowing you to have it more and more and more tuned to what your fantasies are, you can disappear down a rabbit hole where things are perpetually more specific. You get more control, you go deeper into, trying to find the thing that's going to stimulate you the most. It starts going into the world of fetishes. The fetishes get more specific, and before you know it, you're in this world where you're getting off to stuff which is very far away from what a real life sexual interaction would be. And so you're priming your brain and your reward circuits for that activity as opposed to the activity of a real life sex act. And then if you ever have that experience, you're got this incredible performance anxiety, because it just feels alien when you've spent so much of your time conditioning your mind to pixels. You know what I mean? So you got to get out of that world and into some kind of normality again. And when you have that real life sex experience, perhaps you're on a third date and it's starting to go well, and you go back to yours and you crack open a bottle of wine, and then you got this major performance anxiety because you've conditioned your mind for something completely different. And your reward circuits aren't functioning how you expect them to because they've been primed for something else. So I'm not saying pornography is a problem. I'm not making a moral judgment on it at all. That's up to you to decide. However, I do see that it becomes a lot more of a problem for a lot of people the more novel and extreme it gets, and the more they're engaged with it, and the more it gets separated from real life sexual interactions and how they're likely to go. Another thing I see a lot of is people thinking that NoFap is going to just solve all of their problems. People do this with all kinds of stuff. We think, if I could just do this one thing, then everything in my life will fall into place. But obviously, life doesn't work quite like that. But the trap with NoFap becomes a psychological one because people end up associating so much pain and discomfort and unalignment with their authentic self when they've just quote unquote relapsed, and then when they're deep into a streak, like they're going to be this superhuman ideal version of themselves, and it's an all or nothing. Now, I'm not saying that NoFap's a placebo or that it's all in your mind or anything like that, but what I am saying is that you can introduce this placebo-like effect if you really believe in this narrative that you're going to feel so terribly shitty if you relapse. It actually makes things worse. So it's important just to look out for that, because certain guys are getting themselves into a place where they feel so guilty and so shameful for having relapsed. But that's just not needed. Like, the guilt and the shame isn't needed. What is needed is to look at the reality of where you're at with it and how you engage in it, and how much of it is a problem. You know, how much is it jeopardizing how you want to live your life and how you want to conduct your relationships, and the kind of energy you want to share on your dates or with your intimate partner. Now, these are the things you got to look at intelligently, instead of just being like, okay, well, I've relapsed and so I feel absolutely terrible and shitty now, and I need 3 days to get my energy back, and then when I finally get on this super long streak, then everything's going to solve itself. No, that's not quite the functional way of going about it. So if any of this resonates with any of you, I hope it's been of value, or it's at least given you a new perspective. And if you're interested in what it would look like for us to work together one-on-one, go to speaktoalex.com and book a time for us to chat. I specifically help people overcome confidence, self-esteem, anxiety, blocks that are stopping them from getting the career, relationships, or business that they want. And so, yeah, pop over to speaktoalex.com. Let's have a chat. If not, then, see you in the next video, I guess. Peace.